If saying no to his mom felt like drowning, would you still call him weak? This is part 6 of my series, My Husband Never Stands Up to His Mom, and I Feel Completely Ignored. Today, we are stepping into Ben's world. We're going to finally understand what it's like to be in Ben's body and what he tells himself to survive, and why saying, just tell your mom no, isn't as simple as it sounds. By the end of today, you are going to know, as the wife married to a mama's boy, what you can and cannot change, and I promise you, you will never see a mama's boy the same way again. If you missed Sarah's story, definitely pause. I'll put it right here. Go back there. Watch that first, because we're just going to walk through the exact same things that we talked about in her episode, but through Ben's lens. Meet Ben. He's 33. He's known Sarah for 13 years, and he remembers the moment he saw her the first time like it was yesterday. He felt electric. He felt like he wanted to be around her all the time. It just felt like home. But today, Ben is scared. He's tired. He's confused. He's scared because his wife, Sarah, is finally waking up and stepping out of the drama between him and his mom. And without Sarah there soaking up all the big feelings, he is terrified of what he's going to do. Ben was born in 1992, just like Sarah, to Linda and David. David worked a lot. He did not like feelings, but he did think being a good provider meant paying the bills, don't make waves. He wasn't cruel at all, but he definitely wasn't aware when Linda was looking at him for attention, or he wasn't aware when his wife Linda was really sad. Her eyes were very sad a lot of the time. Linda, in her own childhood, she never got steady love. Very early on, she learned that when people are upset, when they're mad and emotional, they leave. And so she learned and developed skills to be really helpful and to stay needed, because if people needed you, they were more likely to stay. The moment she held Ben the very first time, she felt this warmth, this warm love that she swore to herself, I can never lose this. This is a bond that will never be broken. When Ben was just 4 years old, he heard David and Linda having a fight. David left the house. Ben saw his mom crying on the couch. He ran and got his little teddy bear, crawled up on Linda, his mom's lap, gave her the bear, tapped her, on the shoulder. And he goes, it's okay, mommy, I'm here. And Linda just hugged little Ben so tight, said, you're the only one who loves me. What would I do without you, Ben? And in that moment, he's 4 years old. He feels very special, but also terrified at the same time. This is an example of parentification, and it teaches a child that love means fixing big feelings. And when a kid becomes the comfort for a grown-up, the child's nervous system learns that other people's sadness is an emergency, like fight, flight, or freeze, and he must solve it right away. At 6 years old, Ben was invited to his first sleepover. He was so excited. Tommy was his best friend. He ran home, told his mom, and instantly Linda's smile just slid off her face. Her eyes got all watery, and she's like, I guess you don't need me anymore. I thought we were best friends. In that moment, Ben's stomach just dropped. He's like, I don't need a sleepover. I'm going to skip it. That night, Linda made his favorite cookies, said, see, this is so much better. It's just our special time. Ben unfortunately learned that choosing independence made his mom sad, and keeping her happy made the house feel safe. This is enmeshment. It is when boundaries get blurred, and it rewards a child for staying young, staying small, staying close, and it punishes them for normal development, for independence. Independence to them starts to feel like danger. It doesn't feel like healthy development. From these moments, little Ben learned some things that felt true, but also really heavy. It was his job to make his mom feel okay, and being needed was the same as feeling loved, that his own needs hurt people, and his feelings were too big for his house. So he learned really quickly to hide them and to just fix everything instead. By age 8, Linda started leaning on Ben a lot. She would tell him about money worries, marriage problems, because Linda didn't have anyone else, and Ben was such a good listener. He would just nod, have a serious look on his face, and just say, oh, that sounds hard, Mom. He didn't understand what was going on, but it gave Linda the validation she needed, and so she kept on doing it. By the age of 10, Ben knew how to read Linda like the weather. He would come home, he would just check her face, her tone, the silences, all of that. And he could feel a storm brewing before it even started. So he would say the right thing, smooth everything over. And the more he smoothed everything over, the calmer things got, the safer he felt, and the more love he received. At 13, something really exciting happened. Ben's gym teacher said, "You would be a really good basketball player. You should try out. You have a good chance." He ran home, told his mom, and Linda panicked. She started crying. She's like, "If you're there all the time after school, who's going to be here with me? I'm going to be all alone. Your dad's never here. Now you're leaving me." And it was just like instantly inside, that excitement just crumpled up like a piece of paper. He told his mom, "I'm going to skip the tryouts." She hugged him so tight, said, "You're such a good son." He tried to believe that being a good son felt better than being free. At age 15, Ben was asked to the school dance by a girl named Laura. He was so happy, but it was weird. He also felt guilty. And when he told Linda, she's like, "Oh, girls just want one thing. Plus, Saturdays are movie night. Like, Ben, you can't go." And he told Laura no, because something in his body felt safer to keep his mom from crying, even though there was another part of him that was starting to feel angry and small. At 17, he started looking at colleges and he got really excited because he found one far away from home. I don't think that was by accident. It was for engineering. He told his mom. She instantly started bawling. "You can't leave me. We're such a good team. There's so many good schools here. You have to stay with me." Ben felt so awful, like really selfish for even thinking about moving away. He told himself staying close was the mature and kind thing to do. And the anger that he didn't understand went back down into his chest and slowly turned into guilt. And here's a science nugget that's crazy. When guilt is used to keep your child close, their brain wires around it and the body learns to calm guilt really fast, even if it means saying no to their own life. That is why Ben keeps choosing the option that makes the guilt go away or get it quiet, like instantly. So what this does to a child like Ben, like their nervous system, is it creates a smoke alarm for other people's feelings, always scanning, always on, just always making sure everyone else is calm. And when people are not calm, he feels like he's failing and his brain is screaming at him, "Fix it now," like it's an emergency. So his hands will get fidgety, his stomach is going to hurt, and he is going to forget that he ever had needs to begin with. And in trauma science, we call this the Fawn response, which means we appease fast to stay safe. So Ben's kindness is absolutely real, but it's also a survival habit, because if everyone else is okay, then I'm allowed to be okay too. So let's just pause here and reflect on little Ben for a second, because it matters. It matters to understand him, and it matters to understand it for your own marriage right now. Imagine if you were little and somebody made you feel like your worth was dependent on you being a little helper, or that your needs somehow made someone else sad, so you had to hide them to keep the peace. Can you start to see how a little boy like this, when they become a man, they freeze when they see the two women in their life that they love look upset? I want you to hold on to this picture because it explains so much in what we're going to talk about next. If you remember in Sarah's story, Ben meets Sarah when he's 20 years old. They're in statistics class. Sarah looks really confused, overwhelmed by a problem. He walks up to her, asks her if, "Are you okay? Do you need my help?" But the way that Sarah looked up at him with just this relief and kindness, like, "Oh my gosh, I need you so much," it just made him feel at home. It was so comforting. Their first date, they talked for 5 hours. He wanted to know everything and anything about Sarah. She asked him similar questions. Even though he struggled to answer some of them and he would quickly, just turn the light back on Sarah, it felt incredible. It was exciting and scary at the same time. But why was he so drawn to Sarah? Just like I explained in her video, Sarah was just craving, starving to be chosen because she did not have a dad that chose her. Ben needed to be needed. So when Sarah looked at him with that hunger and he showed up like, I want to pick you, like I want to be there for you. Their puzzle pieces just went together. Even though it wasn't healthy, again, it felt very comfortable, very familiar, and it felt like home. 2 years later, Ben pops the question. Sarah says yes. He feels like he's 10 feet tall. He's so excited. He calls his mom, and together they let Linda know. And even though Linda says she's so happy for them, Ben heard a crack in the back of her chair. And true to Linda fashion, she called that night with a bazillion questions. Are you sure you're ready? Are you sure she's the one? Will we still be able to have Sunday dinners? Are you sure she understands our relationship, Ben? Like, I can't lose you. Ben felt sick and his nervous system was saying, fix mom fast. He told himself, Sarah's going to understand because Sarah's kind. And then mom, like once she settles down, everything's going to be safe. This is triangulation. This is where a third person is pulled in because two people can't handle the tension. And it keeps the peace for a moment by handing the pain, the discomfort, the tension to the quietest one. That is why Sarah ends up carrying what Ben cannot face with his mom. Let's take a break. When you hear Linda worry, do you see how Ben's body reacts before his brain even knows what the heck is going on? Like how he goes from a man to a boy in a second, and how guilt tricks him into believing he's in actual danger. Can you now get a sense as to how hard it is for him to choose when his whole nervous system has been wired to believe if mom hurts, I am bad. The very first fight that Linda and Sarah had was about the buffet at the wedding. Sarah wanted a buffet, very simple, very affordable. Linda was appalled, like, are you kidding me? At Ben's wedding, what will people think? Ben saw Sarah's face fall, Linda's mouth get tight, his heart started to race, the room felt hot, and the little boy inside of him said, okay, make mom okay, or you are a bad son. And then the husband inside of him said, make Sarah feel seen, or you're gonna lose her. But the panic mode set in, and that makes us choose the fastest relief possible. And so he asked Sarah to change. He told himself, it's just food, it's no big deal, like mom's paying for it, like it's just not worth the war. But he definitely did not see that he was asking Sarah to carry the pain so that he wouldn't have to feel the guilt again. This is really important. Notice how Ben's chest gets tight, his stomach gets sick. This is his autonomic nervous system flipping into a threat. And when our body feels like it's a threat, it just automatically chooses the fastest path to relief, which is why he always asks Sarah to change instead of setting a limit with his mom. At the wedding, when Linda stood up and gave that brutally long speech, talking on and on about Ben and barely mentioning Sarah, Ben felt shame. He felt like a sting in his chest, but he quickly smoothed it over by telling himself, she's just proud, she's nervous, she means well, it's just a speech. And he told himself, I'll make it up to Sarah later. But later never comes because with Linda and this whole dynamic, there's just always another fire to put out. This is what we do to kind of deflect what we're feeling inside of our body. Our brain will use cognitive smoothing, and it's to survive conflict. So if he tells himself it's just a speech, he doesn't have to look at the whole truth, which would require him to take action, set a boundary, and that just does not feel safe for him. Okay, listen to this. If you've ever felt your husband says a lot of words, but he never takes action, this will help you make sense. On the honeymoon, when Sarah was crying to him, saying, I felt like a guest at our own wedding, he felt cornered because it's like, okay, if I agree with Sarah, I betray my mom. If I defend my mom, I lose Sarah. And so that fear of not knowing what to do made him use soft words without action, because words calm people for the moment, but action, that would make the guilt scream louder. That is very scary to him because that guilt feels like danger. Remember to him? That is why you will see your husband try to calm you down and smooth things over with a lot of words, but he never takes the action. After the honeymoon, when the calls started coming in, morning, night, daily text messages, Linda would start stopping in because she's in the neighborhood, stay for hours, rearrange things in the kitchen. Ben just told himself, this is what families do. But when Sarah said, okay, I'm feeling erased in my own home, he didn't know what to do with that. His chest felt tight. And to get rid of that feeling right away, because it feels like danger, he just told her she's just trying to help. Because admitting the truth would mean he has to take action. So for example, when Sarah says, tell your mom to call or text before she comes over. With his heart pounding, his hands sweaty, he reassures Sarah, okay, yep, I'm going to take care of it. No big deal. When his mom calls the next time and he's supposed to, have the talk, he doesn't know what to do with that feeling, because remember, if mom's sad, I am bad, and everything in his body is just sounding an alarm like, don't do this, don't do this. And so he soothes instead, makes it all okay with his mom, and apologizes to Sarah later. So with Linda, in an enmeshed system, help and control often come in the same package. So the behavior looks like care, but it really feels like management. And that is why, even though Linda is truly trying to help, that's why Sarah feels smaller and smaller and smaller inside of her own home. I want you to know what you don't see. When you ask your husband, who is a mama's boy, conflict avoidant, whatever you want to say, however you want to categorize him, when you ask him to set a boundary and he nods along, but then does nothing, it's not because he doesn't love you. It's because the moment he imagines his mom's hurt face, his body floods with guilt and fear and the old rules, and he goes numb. And again, he picks the path to stop the pain instantly, the fastest path, which is avoidance. This is why just tell your mom no lands like, just go jump off a cliff. Trust me, you're not going to die. Because in his little system, that's what it feels like. It feels like he could die. I know I'm starting to sound redundant, but I really want you to understand how deep this actually runs. This isn't him choosing his mom over you. This is a nervous system built and designed by Linda to always put her first. This is him being trained that if my mom's not happy, I'm not safe. So now moving ahead to house hunting. When Sarah fell in love with a small cottage and Linda frowned and she was like, no, and found like 10 things wrong with it, Ben instantly was like, ugh. Let's just keep looking, because it made the sick feeling go away. And when Linda offered to help pay for it, as long as she could approve of a house, he felt relief, but then dread at the same time, but relief won in the moment. So they bought the big house 12 minutes from Linda. And Ben told himself, okay, this is wise, this is practical, it's family minded. He told Sarah that they're going to have space for their kids one day, a better school option, but he did not say out loud that being 12 minutes away from his mom quieted his guilt. What I'm describing here is called somatic guilt. It lives in our body. It feels like heat. It feels like pressure. And until Ben realizes or learns that he can feel the wave without obeying it, he will continue to pick the path of least resistance to get rid of the guilt, rather than building a life that actually honors his marriage. Remember in Sarah's story when they announced to Linda that they were pregnant, but Ben and Sarah wanted to wait until the 12-week mark, but Linda didn't, called everybody, made a pregnancy announcement, just robbed the moment from Sarah. Ben knew, deep down, oh my gosh, this is awful, but he couldn't carry that. He couldn't do anything with it. He couldn't take action. So the moment that he felt that shame and pain for Sarah, he quickly smoothed that away by just telling himself, she means well, she's just excited. But that is why Sarah felt so alone, so invisible, not protected, and she didn't have a partner. And when his mom started buying everything, like the crib, the stroller, the car seat, and Sarah started voicing her concerns like, Ben, I want to choose this. She's taking over my pregnancy just like she took over the wedding. He just told her, my mom is just trying to help, because taking things back and allowing Sarah to choose those items meant conflict. The delivery room battle hurt the most because Sarah said she just wanted it to be Ben and her. And then Linda was like, but I was there when you were born. And it just felt like he was the rope in a tug of war. His chest was thumping. His mind was racing. He told himself, there has to be a way, that no one gets hurt here. There has to be a way that I can calm everybody down. And he would just tell Sarah, let's just see how it goes. But this is how the phone call went to his mom. So he called his mom. He's going to, let her know it's just going to be Sarah and I. And so he's like, Mom, Sarah just wants it to just be us in the room. And then scared Linda is like, oh, I understand. I don't want to be too pushy. I'm just excited. I don't want to miss it. I won't get in the way. I'll just be in the corner. I just want to be there to see my baby. Ben just got flooded and he didn't know what else to say. So he's like, okay, let's just talk about it later. Because in his head, he was just envisioning someone crying. It's either going to be Sarah or it's going to be his mom. And he just couldn't hold it all. So he just kept pushing it off. He just kept avoiding actually setting a line with his mom. Let's just check in with Linda. Like, why is she so hard pressed to be in the delivery room? Well, when a new baby comes, old attachment wounds really get loud, and control is a scared person's way to feel safe again. That is why she is reaching for presents. That's why she's reaching for the first. She plans things. She just wants to try to make her insides feel safe again, feel calm again. And I'm not trying to excuse why she's pushing and pressing and doing all this stuff and stealing first. I'm just trying to understand or help you understand why she is so activated. And babies really do, they bring up all of that because that first moment that she had with Ben, it's really imprinted on her. It made an impact, and she is scared of not having that attachment, that feeling again with the next child, with Ben's baby. After Emma is born, Linda tries to hold on tighter. You know, she's trying to get those first, and she's inserting herself as the expert so she doesn't feel sidelined. So she's offering a lot of corrections to Sarah, which feel like criticism, and it's just draining Sarah's confidence as a mom. Like, new moms, we are so scared. And so feedback right away like this, criticisms telling us that we're doing it wrong, that our intuition, when we don't know what we're doing, we're just naturally trying to figure it out, telling us we're wrong left and right, just riddles us with insecurities, and it makes us second guess everything, and we can't trust our judgment. And Ben was watching Sarah just slowly wither away. Like, her confidence as a mom or as just a person just kept declining. The more and more Linda was there, giving her insight, comparing her to other moms. It wasn't to be cruel. It was Linda's way to really stay involved. Again, control looks like care for her. It quiets her scared, little girl inside that feels unsafe. It's just a mess. So now we're getting to the point where, again, Ben is trying to now stand up to Sarah, or stand up for Sarah a little bit, but it's just soft words. It's no action. Sarah starts crying at night. Ben tries to hold her, reassure her that she's a really good mom. She starts saying again and again, I feel ignored. I feel invisible. Like, what is this? You're not protecting me. But he doesn't do anything. He just has calm, soft words in the moment. And that is why this triangle just keeps spinning, and everyone in it keeps getting smaller and smaller. But the person that suffers the most is the quiet one, which is Sarah, which is the wife. We're getting closer to the end, but just reflect with me for a second. Can you see how Ben's biggest fear isn't that Sarah's going to be mad? It's that he is going to be bad. He's going to be a bad son, a bad person if his mom is upset. Can you hold compassion for that little boy and still tell the truth that your marriage is not going to survive like this? Finally, we're at the breaking point when Sarah starts to wake up. It's Emma's third birthday. Linda gives a very long speech about her baby girl. Ben feels proud, uneasy, and then Emma falls shortly after the speech. She runs to her mom, and then Ben sees Linda step in the middle saying, like, come to grandma, grandma will make it all better. That night is what changed everything. He saw Sarah looking up things, talking about triangulation, telling him stuff about enmeshment, and then finally saying out loud to Ben, I'm stepping out of this. This is so unhealthy. It's not working. And when she was saying these things, he was trying to convince himself, this isn't happening. This isn't going to happen. And he's trying to calm himself down because he's scared in his body. He's starting to panic. He's feeling abandoned with all the big things between him and his mom. So in that moment, he's feeling abandoned, also ashamed for feeling that way. So he's begging her to stick with him. He's going to make it right. He's going to do stuff. He's going to talk to his mom. It's just the same stuff. He's not actually standing up for Sarah. And in this moment, when typically the husband, like when the wife finally has a breaking moment and she's got this aha thing and she's talking to him, pouring out her heart, and he's still trying to convince her to stay in the same role, This is when many wives of mama's boys will conclude he loves his mom more, when the truth is he is terrified because he has never learned how to stand on his own. Just remember, when you're just like Sarah first stepping out of the triangle, the system will escalate. This is called an extinction burst. They're going to try to keep you in the old pattern because that is what they're comfortable in, and they will try in a variety of ways. I'll put the podcast here where I explain it, but just be prepared that your mother-in-law's pressure, your husband being avoidant and needing rescuing, all of that is going to get a lot louder when you start stepping back and telling your husband, you can handle this with your mom. Like, I no longer have to be in this dysfunctional dynamic. Like, you got this. So I just want you to be prepared. It will get more intense temporarily, and then it will die back down once they realize you're not re-entering. So what does Ben do? Like, when you first start stepping out, like, healing here is not about perfect words. It is about tolerating guilt without feeling like you have to fix it. So Ben has to learn this body skill, and he needs to learn it on purpose with professional support. He has to want to do that on his own, and he has to do that on his own, again, with support, like professionals in the field. Now let's talk about what Sarah can and cannot change about Ben, or what you can and cannot change about your husband if you find yourself married to a mama's boy. Sarah cannot remove Ben's guilt. She can't teach his nervous system to feel safe when his mom is upset. She can't stop her mother-in-law from reaching out to Ben. She can't make him take a stand before he chooses to grow up on the inside. Sarah cannot do that. Now, what can Sarah do? She can step out of the triangle. She can refuse to absorb all the stuff anymore. She can stop being the go-between. This looks like letting natural consequences happen when he avoids. Rather than rescuing him from the discomfort, you let the consequence happen. She can speak from values rather than panic by using grounding tools to calm down her nervous system and then responding to her mother-in-law. Sarah can work with a family systems therapist. Also, I would recommend Sarah join a peer support group. Join with other wives who feel like they are in the same boat, so she doesn't feel crazy and she feels less alone. She also needs to start building a life bigger than the pain, bigger than their drama. She can focus on friendships, hobbies, advancing in work, her faith, anything that brings her life just a little bit of joy. Sarah can also protect her body and her mind after having contact with Linda. If it goes haywire or if it's chaotic, she can name what happened, use a grounding tool, and then choose one self-honoring step to take that night or that day. What does this look like in real words? Well, Sarah can tell Ben, I am not going to be receiving messages from your mom through you. If she has something that she would like to discuss with me, she can call me directly. She can tell Ben, I'm not going to host drop-in visits. If your mom comes over and it's unannounced, I will not be hosting. That will be up to you two to figure out. She can tell him, Ben, we make decisions for our home together. I'm not going to defend it for anyone. You can share them with other people, but I'm not going to be here to explain it. She can choose not to attend conversations that turn on her and make her into the problem. She can just say, I'll step out and we can talk later. If family members try to talk to her about her mother-in-law talking bad about her, she can just say, I'm not going to discuss our relationship with you. So these are all just ways that she can continue to step back from the triangle. And again, we have episodes where I dive into this a little bit deeper, so definitely check that out. But those just give you some real examples so that you know what it looks like. Okay, here is the hard, kind truth. Loving a man like Ben means loving a boy who is never told that they can stop being useful. He must learn that love can hold his no, or he will continuously hand out yeses to stop the noise. Your boundary is not a punishment. It is a bridge. It's the only bridge to a different life for you, for him, and for your children who are definitely watching. And just like I said in Sarah's story, Linda is absolutely not a monster. She is scared. All she's doing is grabbing onto safety the only way she knows how. She never felt steady love without strings. And when she looks at Ben, she sees the one person, the only person who has never left her. And that beautiful bond, it's turned heavy and controlling because she doesn't know any other way. I believe we can hold compassion for her. We can hold compassion for her pain and hold firm limits around her behavior, because compassion without limits keeps everybody sick, but limits without compassion turns everybody hard. Ben can definitely heal from this. He can learn that his guilt is a feeling, it's not a command. He can learn that his mom's tears are hers to hold and that he is allowed to love her and still say no. He can also learn how to feel his anger without allowing it to turn into shame. And here's the most important thing. He can learn to build his inner worth, his inner life that's not measured by how quickly he fixes other people's storms. But this is his work. He has to want it. He has to learn how to sit in that wobble when he disappoints his mom and not run to make it right. He has to sit with it and then sit with it and keep doing it until his body learns that he is still a good man, even when someone is upset with him. Now we understand Sarah. And we understand Ben, and we can see how two good hearts are trapped in the same old dance, but there's still one person left to understand who started all of this without even knowing it. In the next episode, we are going to sit with Linda. Not to blame her, but to finally see her. Because when you see what fear taught her and what love promised her and what loss did to her, you will understand why she holds on so tight, and you will know exactly where to draw the kindest, clearest lines.